Now I want to talk about filtration. And filtration is really important. I would say at least half the problems we see in our repair shop have to do with the filter, okay? And it's just amazing. In fact, when a technician comes to our shop and tells us he or she has a problem and wants a repair, we don't even listen. We do listen to what they say, but we check the filter first, because so many times the filter is the cause of the problem. And when I say filtration, I mean the design of the filtration, I mean the operation of the filtration or the filter, and the maintenance, okay? And I've got examples of each. Okay, so this is an example. Back, 10 years ago when we were still building lots of houses in Arizona, and there were lots of big termite companies doing doing 20 termite pre-treats a day, we had a customer kept having problems with their filters getting clogged. And we always thought, like, these subdivisions, some of these contractors are just throwing their garbage in the plumbing lines. And then when the termite guys show up to fill their truck, they get rocks and debris and garbage in their sprayer, in their filter. And so what we had to do was we ended up putting 3 filters on the truck, okay? So the first filter was on the hydrant line before it even got to the tank. Then there was a filter basket in the top of the tank, and then there were 2 filters before the pump, after the tank, before the pump. The first one was really coarse, and the second one was fine. And the technician's instructions were check every filter before every job because they're going to get full. Okay? And my point isn't that you need this much filtration on your sprayer. My point is you need to make sure you have the right filtration on your sprayer. And this is just an extreme example. Okay? So you design the filtration based on your water source, the products you're applying, the equipment you're using, and your technicians. Now, if you're doing pest control or weed control and just using municipal water, 1 filter is probably fine. But the broader point is make sure it's the right filtration and make sure it's designed well. Okay, so here, remember this photo, this is not good design. I want my technician to check the filter every day, and he or she is not going to be checking this filter. It's too hard to get to. And then it's also the problem, there's no shutoff valve, so they can't check it if the tank is full. Okay, so that's bad design. Here's how we do it. I showed you this picture. It's the shutoff valve in front of the filter, so even when the tank is full, you can check the filter, and you have a lot less problems if your technicians will check the filter every day. So many problems go away. Okay, now for some fun. Are your technicians checking the filter? Every company owner and every company manager says, yeah, my technicians are checking the filter, but I can't even tell you the number of times we get paid to clean someone's filter. And I actually have this. This is a filter that was brought in, and we got pest guys here, or weed guys, or what do we got? Pest guys? Weed guys? Okay. So the weed guys know the yellow stuff is pre-emergent. And I'll let you come up and look at this later, but this is rock solid, this full in the sprayer, which means there was never any screen in this because it won't fit, okay? Every company we talk to says, oh yeah, my guys checked the filter, no problem. Well, someone wasn't checking the filter. I mean, the other thing about this is if your filter's this bad, think about what your fittings and your spray tips and your hoses and your pump, think about what everything else is doing, okay? It's got to weigh 2 pounds right here. It's like a solid rock. You guys can come look at that later, okay? Here's another one. This was a technician comes in and says, my pump doesn't work, and by the way, I haven't checked my filter in a month. Why haven't you checked your filter in a month? Well, it's too hard to open. So, we took a pair of channel locks. It took us 3 seconds to open it with channel locks, and this is what we found. And again, you can tell that's pre-emergent, and this company was using a diaphragm pump. It was a total loss because the tech had run this for so long, the pump was starved for water. And it'll work for a little while without any water, but after a while, it's like running your car without oil. It's going to get too hot and it's going to fry it. And this cost the company a brand new pump. And the issue here, clearly the guy should have checked his filter. But the biggest issue isn't that he didn't check his filter. The biggest issue is that the tech did not tell his boss, hey boss, I can't check the filter, what should I do? Then the boss would have said, let me give you a pair of channel locks, check the filter. And this cost them $1,000 because the tech didn't say anything. Okay, boy, you call the owner of a company and tell him that, man, you are not talking to a happy camper. Here's another one. This was a pest control company, and the owner swore that his techs were checking the filter. I go, I'm looking right at it. Your techs are not checking the filter. When you're paying us to check the filter, it doesn't make any sense. He swore up and down, oh, my techs check the filter. I guess not. But we see this all the time, okay? And that's probably what do you think, a couple of weeks, couple of months worth of junk in that filter there? Here's another one. This was a weed control truck. We dumped the contents of the filter out on the bed. The white stuff is dried chemical, and the big stuff is rubber gloves. And the only thing we can think of, and you can see they're green because they put dye in the weed stuff, right? The only thing we can think of is the tech took off his gloves and said, I need to throw these away. Oh, there's a hole in the top of the tank. That must be for trash. And the tech throws the garbage in the top of the tank because it's a hole, might as well throw my trash in there. And then the filter did do a good job. It did stop this from getting to the pump and destroying the pump. Okay? The weirdest things we've ever found in filters, we found fish. A guy filled up from the canal once, and he got all these fish that clogged his filter and destroyed his pump. And then we once found a pair of men's underwear. And we always find, like, the most common thing you find is when you put the chemical bottles have a little paper or cardboard thing in the cap. We find that all the time. And then soda cans and trash. Okay. This is some of you guys use B&Gs. The bottom one is what the filter of a B&G is supposed to look like. The top one is what this one looked like. And again, this filter wasn't checked for probably years. Okay, and that's just going to wreak havoc on your B&G, certainly on your B&G tip, and on your ability to do your job. Okay, so checking and cleaning your filter is absolutely critical. It'll eliminate a lot of your problems. Here's another one, maintenance. So eventually you can't keep checking your filter, you got to change it. And I'm very proud to say, this is one of my proud, I did not make this up. What we think happened here was the tech pulled the Honda pull cord and it broke, so he threw it in the tank because where else? I don't want to put it in the truck. I might as well throw it in the tank. And so this is what we saw. And the guy, again, the tech says, my pump doesn't work. Well, we just checked the filter. This is what we found. And of course, there was no screen in it because the screen can't fit when you have this. And this was so good, I called the owner of the company and said, hey, I'd be happy to put a new filter on there if I could have the old one. Oh, sure. So we call this our technician hall of shame. But, I mean, aside from the fact he's throwing trash in the tank, obviously no one checked this filter because you would think that would be a problem. I mean, you don't have to be a technical genius to figure out this is a problem. I'll leave that up there. I love that one. That's my favorite. What else we got? Here's another one. Tech comes in and says, my pump doesn't work. We check the filter. And what had happened was that it's hard to see, but there's a crack in this filter. And what the tech did was he put a piece of duct tape on the inside of the filter to try to stop the leak. Okay? Now, I give him a couple of points for trying to do the right thing and trying to fix it and get through the day. But, duct tape is not going to fix a cracked filter. And if you're going to put duct tape on a filter, you really should put it on the outside so the pump sucks the tape towards the crack, not away from the crack. So this guy really needed some more training because he's got a good attitude. He just has no understanding of how this works. And probably when your filter is that bad, don't mess with duct tape. Just come get a new filter, okay? Because think about it. I mean, any problem you have in Phoenix, you're going to have to stop what you're doing and drive back to a repair shop like ours or your own shop or somewhere. In Phoenix traffic, you're losing a couple of hours probably. Half an hour each way plus repair time, okay? So don't try to, I'm with you to try to get through the day, but something like that, I think the owner of this company needs to do a better job of training his technicians on how stuff works. Here's another one. Technician says, my pump isn't pumping. So we go look at it, and the filter's all dirty. It's got green and blue and yellow all over it, and the weed guys will recognize this is pre-emergent with dye in it. And it's a little hard to see, but that black ring is the gasket or the O-ring that goes in the filter. And what happens is the chemicals, particularly herbicides, swell the gasket. And the tech couldn't get the gasket back inside the filter, so he just put it on the outside. And it don't work. Again, he was trying to do the right thing, but he didn't understand how this works. And so if you're the boss or the owner, you got to train your guys a little better than this. And I mean, I don't know how much chemical spilled all over the truck, but this guy should have just got this taken care of right, okay?